Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is Holy Spirit? Acknowledge Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth, so we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Brethren, we're going to get into a couple of topics from a couple of different books. We're going to start today talking about the Starseed transmissions. Hopefully you guys have had an opportunity to order the book, read the book, and start to internalize a lot of the information. It's not a book that you can really read one time and think you have it down. And there is actually on YouTube, you can find it and you can actually just listen to it. So maybe listen to it, let it kind of go in your right-hand side in order to maybe internalize the information more. There was there was quite a few, important topics, but there's one I'm going to kind of touch on right now, talking about how we come from the spirit world, the formless world, and how there's two worlds. And the first one, where we originate from, I think they called it the Nawa, something like that. They pronounce it like the Nawa, something like that. And you kind of like, that is the world where nothing can be named. It's a world of of no names. Not even just a world. It just be like, a spirit world, but there's no names. Okay. And then right now where we are is like a temporal world where everything is all about naming things, how you can name everything here. And that just kind of got me, I got a little chuckle out of that because, with there'll be some kind of phenomenon that we can't even think of, but Esau always has a name for it. Esau always has a name for absolutely everything. It could be just something that you've never seen before, whatever else, and Esau already has a name of it and a definition for it. But see, that's this world. The world has been given into the hands of the wicked, and they want to make it seem as if they have control and they have, the knowledge of absolutely everything. Even though when they came over and when they've taken over this world, they have pretty much just they've ignored everything that was happening before, made it seem as if it was barbaric, everything that had happened before, which we know that's not the case. But in the world, and it just kind of shows you how little we know. See, we're stuck here in the temporal, and we've forgotten where we came from. So, but people here in the temporal world think that they have a good understanding of what's happening in the spirit world. But how would that even be possible in a world where nothing can be named? Just shows how little we understand of the spirit world and how limited our understanding and knowledge really is. So we can't even begin to even touch and grasp the knowledge and understanding of the spirit world, and how we have definitions. Everything here in the spirit world, in the carnal world right here, has definitions. They use words to pretty much explain everything. And we make definitions as far as what something really is and who someone is and things like that. But the Most High ultimately is the one who makes, who defines who we are and what we are. And in the story, they had a really good, like a little analogy there. It was talking about like acorns and how acorns are on the ground, and the acorns are just totally looking at each other and worrying about what the other acorn thinks about himself, and and everything is about defining, the acorns are defining themselves. But when the Most High defines the acorn, that one acorn will be broken down, stripped down, And what the Most High sees in that acorn is something different than what all the acorns see. When that acorn is broken down, stripped down, and goes into the ground, it becomes a mighty oak tree. And all the acorns didn't see the mighty oak tree that was inside, but that was what happens. That's what happens when they define themselves. But when the Most High gives you that definition, it shows you how much more potential you have that you never saw in yourself. So, a lot of the things that we think in this, temporary world, and we think it's, definitely for sure it's this way, there's much more going on than meets the eye. Now, we're going to take a look at it because during time periods, before the Gentiles got here, we were able to do so many different things. But see, when the Gentiles got here, they made it a point to cut us off from the spirit world, so that all we think of are the things that are happening right here in the temporal world. We're like all those acorns who think that we know everything, but we have absolutely no clue. Let's take a look at this book here. We're going to take a look again at Druid magic, and it's going to just show you how the difference between when we were, in contact with our power and the things that we could do, and how things have changed since the other nations and Satan has gotten here and cut us off from the Father. Okay? Okay. I'm going to have my son Isaiah read a little bit for us. Okay, so here he goes.
Okay. So when Druids predict outcomes, their predictions were based on the best available knowledge, personal intuition, and the most appropriate behavior to be done. One thing is different. Druids in the Celtic era needed long training in the laws of probability and patterns of nature in order to prognosticate about outcomes and weather. Where, Whereas we use computer models and meteorological satellites to know those things today.
Okay, so in the past, we were in tune with nature. We were using nature in order to prognosticate. We were and that just shows you how important the connection with nature is, and how it's always been that way from before. But see, the other nations that cut us off from nature, cut us off from our ways before. Remember now, just like we talked about in the book before, or in the video before, how they took away the storytellers. They took away our connection with the stories, and they gave us books, which made it more difficult for us to get this information. Okay, and cut us off from our power, cut us off from nature, cut us off from the earthly mother. And see, you talk about the earthly mother and the things that she does for you, and many are very negative about that, because, like I said, that's what she's here to do. She's here to prepare us for the Father. And if someone never wants you to get prepared for when the Most High shows back up, then the first thing I want to do is cut off the earthly mother, cut off the things that she does, cut off the gut instincts that the Most High sends us, so that when when the Most High is communicating with you, or the earthly mother is communicating with you, the first thing you do is cut off that communication. They want you to trust in their science. They want you to trust in their meteorological models. They want you to trust in their satellites. Are their satellites better than the Most High? I think not. I think not. And see, and that's why, even like now, when you came into the truth, they want everything to be. It's got to fit in these 80 books, 60 books, and that's it. It can't go in anything else. Again, that's the left-hand side once again. Yes, you get great information and great understanding, but that's not all of the information. That is not all of the understanding. Once we get into The you want to start to get into the spiritual side. Remember, now when you get to the spiritual side, that's the side of no names. You can't name things in the spirit world. So we can get an understanding of what's going on here in the carnal world to a certain extent, of course. But once we're ready to actually go more deep into more knowledge and understanding, we're going to have to trust the Most High. We're going to have to trust the angels and the spirits that are sent to guide us, because then we're dealing with the side that has no names. You can't use the definitions here to pretty much give you an understanding of what's happening in the spirit world, because that's not possible. Okay, we'll read it one more time.
Okay, when druids predict outcomes from their predictions were based on the best available knowledge, personal intuition, and the most appropriate behavior to be done. One thing is different. Druids in the Celtic era needed long training in the laws of probability and patterns of nature in order to prognosticate about outcomes and weather, whereas we use computer models, and meteorological satellites to know those things today.
Okay, we'll stop on that for right now. We'll continue with more of this information a little bit later. Um, so, like I said, the main thing here is understanding that said we've been cut off from our original status. We've been cut off from the spirit world, and that's been something that has been done on purpose. That is something that's been done on purpose. And like I said, the Starseed transmissions is a lot of great information that definitely starts to open our eyes to uh, the amount of information that we understand and what we have absolutely no clue about, and how much more there is to learn in order to prepare for the Father, for His return, and how the earthly mother is working to do that right now. All praise is to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who was wisdom? Who was Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.